The reason I'm doing these videos is because the Theosophical underlying principle is to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings on our planet. So today I wanted to talk about and share something that I find very helpful about something that is extremely painful, suicide. We're going to talk about suicide today. Suicide is not death. This is for all of those who are suffering and in so much pain. The answers that you seek that can help you to solve and understand every pain, every difficulty, every heartbreak and human issue are here in the ancient teachings of Theosophy if you wish to learn more. No man, we repeat, has a right to put an end to his existence simply because it feels painful or useless. Now that's from the collected writings from HPB in Volume 4. There is no greater crime. There is no exit. There's no reset button to escape this temporary suffering. The pain and the lessons will continue and will need to be repeated. Everything you've done up to this point, you will have to do again and experience it again. And look how far you've come. You are a treasure with the ultimate of gifts. And there is hope and there is help. Life, like night into day, is cyclical. When things are difficult, we are learning. When things are good, we get to rest. The cycle never stops. There are exceptions, though. We are not talking about suicide as in self-sacrifice, the selfless self-sacrifice for the salvation of another, but more for that of the overwhelming but limited heartbreak from painful loss or difficulty that life offers, like the loss of a lover. From William Q. Judge's article, Suicide is Not Death. This was originally published back in 1894 in something called The Lamp. There is no escape from responsibility or pain. The sweet embrace of the wet clay is a delusion. It is better to bravely accept the inevitable, since it must be due to our errors in older lives, and fill every duty to try to improve all opportunity. To teach suicide is a sin, for it leads some to commit it. To prohibit it without reason is useless, for our minds must have reasons for doing or not doing. And if we literally construe the words of the Bible, then there we find it says no murderer has a place but in hell. Such constructions satisfy but few in an age of critical investigation and hard analysis, but give men the key to their own natures, show them how law governs both here and beyond the grave, and their good sense will do the rest. An illogical nepenthe, which is a drug that is said to banish grief, of the grave is as foolish as an illogical heaven for nothing. Suicide, like any other murder, is a sin, not sin as in religion, but simply a transgression against the divine law, because it is a sudden disturbance of the harmony of the world. It is a sin because it defeats nature. Nature exists for the sake of the soul and for no other reason. It has the design, so to say, of giving the soul experience and self-consciousness. These can only be had by means of a body through which the soul comes in contact with nature, and to violently sever the connection before the natural time defeats the aim of nature, for the present compelling her, by her own slow processes, to restore the task left unfinished. And as those processes must go on through the soul that permitted the murder, more pain and suffering must follow. And the disturbance of the general harmony is a greater sin than most men think. They consider themselves alone, as separate, as not connected with others, but they are connected throughout the whole world with all other souls and minds. A subtle, actual, powerful band links them all together. And the instant one of all of these millions disturbs the link, the whole mass feels it by reaction through soul and mind, and can only return to a normal state through a painful adjustment. This adjustment is on the unseen, but the all-important planes of being, in which the real man exists. Thus, each murderer of self or another imposes on entire humanity an unjustifiable burden. From this injustice he cannot escape, for his body's death does not cut him off from the rest. It only places him, deprived of nature's investments, in the clutch of laws that are powerful and implacable, meaning relentless, ceaseless in their operation, and compulsory in their demands. Suicide is a huge folly because it places the committer of it in an infinitely worse position than he was in when he was here under the conditions from which he foolishly hoped to escape. It is not death. It is only a leaving of one well-known house in familiar surroundings to go to a new place where terror and despair alone have place. It is but a preliminary death done to the clay which is put in the cold embrace of the grave, leaving the man himself naked and alive, but out of mortal life, and not in either heaven nor hell. The Theosophist sees that man is a complex being full of forces and faculties, which he uses in a body on earth. The body is only part of his clothing. He himself lives also in other places. In sleep he lives in one, awake he lives in another, in thought in another. He is a threefold being of body, soul, and spirit. And this trinity can be divided again into its necessary 7 constituents. And just as he is threefold, so also is nature, material, cyclical, or astral and spiritual. The material part of nature governs the body, the psychical affects the soul, and the spirit lives in the spiritual, all being bound together. Were we but bodies, we might well commit them to material nature and the grave. But if we rush out of the material, we must project ourselves into the psychical or astral. And as all nature proceeds with regularity under the government of law, we know that each combination has its own term of life before a natural and easy separation of the component parts can take place. A tree, a mineral, or a man is a combination of elements or parts, and each must have its projected life term. If we violently and prematurely cut them off from the other, certain consequences must ensue. Each constituent requires its own time for dissolution, and suicide being a violent destruction of the first element, the body, the other 2, of soul and spirit, are left without their natural instrument. The man, then, is but half dead, and is compelled by the law of his own being to wait until the natural term is reached. The fate of the suicide is horrible in general. He has cut himself off from his body by using mechanical means that affect the body but cannot touch the real man. He is then projected into the astral world, for he has to live somewhere. There, the remorseless law, which acts really for his good, compels him to wait until he can properly die. Naturally, he must wait, half dead, the months or years which in the order of nature would have rolled over him before body and soul and spirit could rightly separate. He becomes a shade. He lives in purgatory, so to say, called by the Theosophist the place of desire and passion, or kama loka. He exists in the astral realm entirely, eaten up by his own thoughts, continually repeating in vivid thoughts the act by which he tried to stop his life's pilgrimage. He at the same time sees the people and the place that he left, but is not able to communicate with anyone, except now and then with some poor sensitive who is often frightened by the visit. And often he fills the minds of living persons who may be sensitive to his thoughts with the picture of his own taking off, occasionally leading them to commit upon themselves the act which he was guilty. To put it theosophically, the suicide has cut himself off on one side from the body and life which were necessary for his experience and his evolution, and on the other from his spirit, his guide and Father in heaven. He is composed now of astral body, which is of great tensile strength, informed and inflamed by his passions and desires. But a portion of his mind, called manas, is with him, and he can think and perceive, but ignorant of how to use the forces of that realm. He is swept hither and thither, unable to guide himself. His whole nature is in distress, and with it, to a certain degree, the whole of humanity. For through the spirit, all are united. Thus he goes on until the law of nature, acting on his astral body, that begins to die, and then he falls into a sleep, from which he awakens in a time for a season of rest before beginning another life on this earth. In his next reincarnation, he may, if he sees fit, retrieve or compensate or suffer over again. Now that is from William Q. Judge's article called Suicide is Not Death, originally published in 1894 in The Lamp. Again, and with so much love for all of those who are suffering and in so much pain, the answers that you seek and that can help you to solve and understand every pain, every difficulty, every heartbreak and human issue are here in the ancient teachings of Theosophy. This archaic knowledge belongs to all and solely to none. If you wish to learn more, Just Google Theosophy or watch more videos on this channel. You are deeply loved and you are so worthy. And I promise it will be all right. If it's not all right, it's not the end. And I love you and I'm grateful that you're here. So reach out for help, all right? You are important. Understand that you are here for a reason, and whatever this is, whatever is happening, whatever painful event has led you to this video, it will pass. And I know that when I've heard that in the past, I wanted to take that and just shove it right where the sun doesn't shine. But I promise you, I have lived many decades on this planet, and every single solitary one of those painful things have passed. They've all passed, and I survived. And I'm so grateful that I didn't check out when I would not have known who I was killing. All that lies before, this life now that I am so grateful for, I would have missed out on. It is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Reach out and get the help that you need, and know that there is help, and know that there is hope, and know that you are loved. I'll see you soon.